Where let's start here. Odie, where were you trying to go with that bit?
Well, it wasn't necessarily a bit as much as it was a legitimate question.
About how long I would care.
Well, yeah, because I was thinking, right? Like, if...
All right, hit me. Yeah, let's work this out.
Okay. Let's
okay.
Go. If you, like, if you turn on the news and you found out that, like, part of the Statue of Liberty had broken off, or the Mona Lisa had been destroyed, or, like, the Eiffel Tower fell over. Like, if you found out that something, like, famous, right, that has been around for what we would consider a long time, but not really, because... Yeah. So where I'm going with this is,
okay,
I love the 7 ancient wonders of the world, and the pyramids are thousands of years old, and they were built before any of the other 7 wonders and have existed longer. So I was just thinking, the Mona Lisa is only a couple hundred years old, few hundred years old, right? The Eiffel Tower was built...
Why do you keep saying Mona Lisa? It's Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa is only... a few hundred years old.
Not Moana Lisa.
Moana Lisa. How far she'll
Moana
go.
Lisa. All right, keep going. Sorry.
But like, damn it, the Mona Lisa. I can't say it right. That painting is only a few hundred years old. The Eiffel Tower was built in the 1800s. The Statue of Liberty was in the 1800s. So like, these things haven't been around that long. But if something happened to them, I think people would freak out. And I'm just curious, like, how long do you think people would care if something like those things like got destroyed or got vandalized or, got messed up?
It depends on how. And I think people have tried to throw paint on the Mona Lisa before, which is why I thought like you had a bit going there. I was like, I think people have tried that. I think people have been like, this should have been the Moana Lisa, and they threw paint at it. But like, so ultimately, I think you're asking a very subjective question, like really so it depends on how much investment I have in that thing having meaning. Like how much meaning are we attaching to the thing itself? Like if the Le Tower Eiffel is on your bucket list, right? I was about to say Tower Eiffel. Like, anyway, if Le Tower Eiffel is on your bucket list and it fell,
over,
and then you don't get to go to it, like you probably care a lot for a long time, right? But like if it was never on your bucket list and you just kind of knew it was there and you thought like, oh, what a cool concept, you'd probably be like, wow, that's really sad. What happened? And then once you found out what happened, you'd probably move on with your day. Like so it really, like, that's a super subjective question. Like if the Grand Canyon got filled up, I'm sure there's a bunch of people who'd be butthurt about
New pool.
it, like and all these things, it's all about the context. Like, was it a person who intentionally like destroyed one of the 7 wonders of the world?
Yeah, but I'm asking you specifically. I feel like if the pyramids got wiped off the face of the earth, there would be like a small bit of me that's like, oh, I never got to see those. Damn. I'd kind of be upset about those a little.
Or even the Eiffel Tower, right? Like even that, like I'd be like, oh damn, yeah, I probably should have seen that. Like I probably should have done that. It would probably, most of the things that you're talking about would remind me that I have not traveled as much as I should have. See, that's where that would be.
So this is why I asked, because I was reminded last night of a landmark or attraction or whatever you want to call these things. That
So there was a purpose to this question.
There is no way I can go see this specific landmark or attraction
because
is it? It's gone forever and I'm sad.
What is it?
It's the Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel at Disney World in Florida. They closed it down and now I'm sad I'll never get to do it.
God.
So I just wanted to know. I wanted to compare it to other important things.
You were asking me these questions so we could eventually get around to your sadness. Mm-hmm. Incorporated with the Galactic Cruiser Starship Hotel.
Yeah, it looked really fun.
In Disney
You got
World.
to live like an adventure, and they closed it. And
how long was that there for?
Only like a year.
And this was the one that I saw the ads for, where it was like, when you're there, it's 24/7. You might wake up at night and have to fight TIE fighters, right? Is this the one?
Yep.
That's why it shut down.
Yeah, it was only like
I saw the commercial
a piece.
for it, and I was like, nobody wants that.
Yeah, it was like $12,000 for 4 people to go.
Yeah, and nobody wants to get woken up at like 2 a.m.
I
and
do.
be like, oh my, Darth Vader's fucking here. like no. no.
I want to.
Odie, no. See, okay. The other things you were asking about, you get to see at your leisure. The Galactic whatever, the Pan Galactic Gargle Blazer Hotel made it seem like you would just wake up and they'd be like, you're under fucking arrest in the Star Wars universe now, you bounty hunters. You'd be like, we're not even bound. I'm in my PJs right now, man. This is vacation mode. I don't know why we're doing this.
Yeah.
And then they're like, Han Solo's here, and it's some guy that kind of looks like Harrison Ford, and you're just like, what? That's not Han Solo. Your kids are like traumatized. Like, yeah, of course that shut down, Odie. Of course that shut down.
And I'm sad.
That was made for Disney adults who were hardcore Star Wars fans, and that is a niche market.
Well, I am half of that because I'm a
also,
hardcore Star Wars
that was
fan.
made for Disney adults who are hardcore Star Wars fans who have money.
Yeah, I'm only one of those things, just a Star Wars fan.
There it is. See? All right.
But I wanted to go, and now I'm sad. And I just think it should be up there. It should be up there.
I'm sorry that you never get to get hijacked by the Empire while attempting to sleep at Disney on a vacation, Odie.
Well, I think I'd be
sorry
a Sith.
that reality, that quote. I'm doing big quotes here. That reality can't be real for you.
Yep. It's sad, isn't it?
It's so sad. It's so let's start the sad music. Sad music podcast. Let's go. All right, cool. Here we go. How sad is it really? I mean, who's really gonna miss out on? I mean,
me.
Apart from you, I do feel bad. You're right. You know what though? Here's where we're starting. I want you to wake up a little bit. I'm ambivalent to that feeling specifically. I will validate all of your other feelings except for that one forever.
Okay.
If you ever mention to me how sad you are about that hotel shutting down, I will shut down the conversation like the hotel.
So about this hotel.
No, we're going. All right, you ready to clap?
Yes.
3, 2, 1.
I'm a little behind
on time
because I did decide to let myself sleep until 6:30 today, and I think that messed up my morning. I didn't have enough time to get my morning juices flowing like I normally do.
Dude, I slept till 8 because, and I'm normally, you know how I've been like up at 5 every day for forever.
Yeah.
So Saturdays I've been sleeping until 8 because I go to judo. So Friday nights now, right? Like my night structure has been a little bit hijacked. You want to talk about being hijacked?
Idris Elba?
Well, I go to judo. It's the last class of like the work week, right? Like it's 8 p.m. on Fridays. But here's the thing. Well, it's actually technically supposed to be like 7:45. But Kyokushin karate goes on before judo, and sometimes they go over by like 5 to 10 minutes, right? And they're always like, they're nice. They're like, sorry, we went over. Like, that's all you can really say, right? When you're having a good class, you're having a good class. You're not just going to shut it down. But then we end up starting at like 8:05 even sometimes because other people aren't even changed. And then we're moving, and then all of a sudden it's 9 o'clock, and it's time to do randuri, which is like live practice where you're actually throwing each other, throwing people, like, actually getting your real competition practice in. And it's like 9 o'clock, and I'm like, man, I was supposed to be out of here by now. I got to drive 35 minutes to get back home. And then I finally get home, and it's 10 p.m., and I'm starving because I just did Muay Thai, conditioning, and then judo. And so then I got to eat. But then after you eat, you're awake for like another 2 hours. So like all of a sudden it's 12:30, and I'm finally falling asleep. And I'm like, all right, 8 a.m.'s the new wake-up time on Saturday, baby.
Oh, man.
That's just how that goes.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. Yeah, it takes a little bit, like when you change up your schedule like that at all. Like even when I first switched over to like, all right, I'm a 4:30 to 5 a.m. wake up guy. That took time, right? And there were a lot of days where I was tired, and I was kind of like, oh, all right, I guess we're making it through.
I also didn't. I don't know about you. I know we haven't even introduced the podcast yet, but my last question is, I like to wake up at 5 because I like to shower in the morning. I'm a morning showerer, and that really helps me get going. And I think that's the missing piece this morning is I decided not to shower. I decided not to shower this morning. I was like, you know what? I won't do that. And now I regret it.
Well, it's all about rituals, right?
Yeah. I didn't sacrifice my lamb. I didn't draw the pentagram. I didn't get in the shower. and have, a normal cup of coffee. My ritual is just all off. What is this podcast, Kevin?
You're confirming so many suspicions that people have about non-binary people in American culture. You're like, I didn't get up and worship Satan.
Yeah,
this morning,
exactly.
I guess. People are like, I knew it.
That's for our listeners in the Bible Belt.
I heard them say it. They said it now. I don't know why people with a deep Southern accent and lingering conspiracy suspicions about non-binary people would use your pronouns correctly.
No, they wouldn't. But hey,
I heard them say it. It's like, oh, you did the pronouns correctly. Damn it!
Congratulations.
Could you? That's gonna be my favorite moment in culture. Is when a bigoted person accidentally uses pronouns correctly. Like, I heard them say it. And it's like, I heard you say that. And they're like, damn it.
Oh, God damn
you know
it.
what? We're cueing the theme music on that. That's how we're rolling this podcast in. All right. Welcome back to the UnPop podcast. Wait, hold on. No. We're actually rolling theme music. All right. Let's clap again. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Welcome back to the UnPop podcast. I am your captain, todo el siempre, Kevin Miner, he, him. With me as always is
Odie Matthews, the chef, they, them.
Cooking up content. You're always cooking up content.
It depends if I'm cooking or not. And today's mainly you cooking.
Today, is this the me cooking episode?
Well, this is.
Are we cooking?
Well, the person that is going to be.
What are we talking about today?
Well, the person that's going to be making an appearance in this episode, you kind of, it's mainly just, I didn't really get to say a lot because you didn't let me. So,
Yeah, you were there the whole time.
I don't think I spoke at all, actually. I think I was on mute.
You were there the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. It was a great conversation, though. I loved every minute of it.
And any time you open your mouth, I just pointed at you.
And I was just like, I'm sorry.
Serious face.
I was like, I'm sorry, be quiet.
I was like, this is not your time, Odie. No, okay, yeah, this episode, so we interviewed Natalie Carr, beautiful, lovely, amazing,
wonderful,
super talented friend of the podcast. We got to talk to her about what she's been up to. We really without labeling it as such, because I don't want to give it more credence than it deserves. I don't want to give it power, but we kind of talked about the 2020 effect because the last time I talked to her was toward the tail end of 2020, right? And a lot was going on in her career. There were some cool singles that were coming out, but she's come so far since then, and just seeing what she's setting up for herself to do in 2024. She's been featured on MTV multiple times. She got a Billboard article in the past couple years. She's been writing songs for other artists. She's been writing custom songs for other people to enjoy very specific events in their life. I didn't even know that was as lucrative as it can be. She's currently being played in a very popular pool store down in North Carolina. I don't know the name of the store right now.
Wow.
But she did a whole reel about it. It was really funny. She's like, I made it. They're banging my music here in the dead of winter. Natalie's awesome. She's such an amazing person, and she's someone who, the reason I love interviewing her is she's on a path of personal growth, and I feel like every time I check in with her, she's grown so much, and I feel like we both have a lot to share with each other even before we start the conversation. And then when we get into it, you'll hear in this interview.
I already know. This is for the listeners because I was there, obviously.
Yeah. So the listeners will they'll hear we get deep because it's not just about the music. I'm not just going, so what's the next song? But
what's it like?
But Natalie has really been expanding her repertoire. She's been growing as an artist and as a person, and I love how much that rounds out an entire interview. It makes it so much more interesting than just asking, so what's the next song? I never want to have an interview that's like that. And if I ever do, we'll scrap it from the podcast.
Exactly.
It'll never exist. But yeah, so I hope everybody enjoys listening to this interview with Natalie Carr.
That's the way computers talk to each other.
Ready to clap?
Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Every single time. I love it. All right. Welcome back to the UnPop podcast. This is the inaugural interview of 2024. Is this your inaugural interview of 2024?
Yeah, this is.
Whoa!
What day? It's the 7th. Okay, so this is definitely the inaugural interview.
I love that we both get to be each other's first interviewer, interviewee. Yeah, for 2024. Okay, so Natalie Carr, give us in your own words a little bit of who you are, how you are, what do you do?
Okay, I can do that. So, who I am a singer-songwriter. I am currently based out of Charlotte, North Carolina.
Whoop.
But I go between here and New York City. I'm from outside of New York City, but most of my family is there now. And I write pop and R&B songs for myself and for other artists. And I do a lot of miscellaneous things in the industry. I engineer. I write jingles sometimes. I write like private songs for people for like birthdays.
Whoa.
And all kinds of weird things to make money, especially as the year kicks off. I'm doing a lot of things all over the place, but I am an artist first and foremost, and I release music.
How are you?
How are you? What was the last one?
What do you?
How are
well,
you?
It was
what
kind
are
of
you?
what do you do, but you did that, so now it can just be how are you?
Oh, okay. Well, I am actually doing really well.
Good.
And I'm not lying, so that's good because I think I feel like sometimes that's just like the default. Like, oh, I'm great.
We're off to an
No, but I'm, like,
honestly good
actually
start.
great.
Okay, good.
Yeah, this is like an honest good
That's
start. It's a
amazing.
new year, new page. I feel like things are great. So far, I've been working hard the last like 7 days.
Hell
so
yeah.
last week. And I feel like really optimistic for the year.
That's awesome. Okay, so you're doing way more musically than the last time you and I spoke, which I believe was like 2020, 2021 time, right?
Yeah.
Around that turn of the year.
Yeah.
So being that you're doing more, you said that you were working all week. Are you working any other job, or is this all just like private songs for songwriting, like jam sessions?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I feel like, so I do bartend a few times a month.
Okay.
So like, that's always been like a thing I've done like as a part-time
Yeah.
job, which has been so helpful, like completely helpful. But I mean, there were definitely stretches where like I didn't because I was doing like sync work or doing a lot of freelance top lines. So in addition to like, yeah, these like jingles and whatnot, I'm doing like singing EDM hooks and like selling verses. And I'm working on a few projects. I probably shouldn't say whether they come to fruition or not, but like some things on the side that could see the light of day that are in music, entertainment, and television, but aren't like out yet.
Whoa.
So kind of like just wherever the wind blows, like work is work, and singing, voice acting, writing, like all of those kind of go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yeah, just kind of whatever, but it's always multiple sources. And I think probably for most musicians, all the way to the top of the charts, there are a lot of weird things that we do for money and fun things that we do for money.
Yeah.
And diverse things that we do for money.
Yeah, a couple things there. One, I love that you have the luxury to go, I bartend a couple times a month. Like, just like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
you know,
know.
when I need
Well,
a little extra fun money, I'll go hop in.
No, well, oh my God, no, it definitely is like, I mean, I think in the past, like I did it a lot. Like it was my job.
Yeah.
And then I think the last like year, and this year going forward, it'll be part-time. And I think it's good because I think when you kind of remove the safety net of having that like very regular income, you are forced to think outside the box.
Yes.
And reach out and make new relationships. And I think there's something too about when you're available to people or they know that you're working hard
Yeah.
and you're ready to work. It's like opportunities just flood your inbox.
Wow.
And that's true for anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
So you said that there were a few things that you couldn't talk about that you're working on. Are there any artists that you've worked with in like the past year, written stuff for, that you can talk about? I know there's a lot of like, so like in that realm, there's a lot of NDAs. There's a lot of like, and even the stuff that you said that you're working on that might not come to fruition. Sometimes like you're getting paid for that the entire time anyway.
Right.
So like
right.
that's part of why you can't talk about it, is if it never comes to
Right.
fruition, you still got paid. Like that's
Well,
part of the deal.
Part of it too.
Yeah.
Because I think there's like it's interesting because I think so. There's my artist project, and then there's like that kind of thing where there's paid work here and there to do whatever.
Yes.
However, I'm divvying up my time, and then there's also writing for artists or for pitches for sync. So a lot of that stuff, as you are definitely well aware, like you may not get paid up front for it. You may never get paid at all, but you're building a catalog that you can kind of shop to artists, quote unquote, and kind of like maneuver around until somebody picks it up, and maybe it never does, maybe it does, but that's the type of work you do, you know, as a goal. So it's like the 3 pillars of being an artist, I would say, and sustaining yourself for me are those like 3 categories.
Yeah.
Which
one is sustaining you the most right now?
Definitely like not my own music. Like never. Like that's just like off the table. I mean, truly, because people are like, oh, do you like make money in royalties? And I'm like, I do, but it's divided God knows how many ways. Like it's not significant enough to ever like for any small or medium artists to really survive. And frankly, even the bigger artists are always complaining about it because they see it go the same way. They're like, oh, I got like, you know, however much from the song, it was a fraction of what it was. Yeah. So in that way, I think the freelance work is most important. And I love like being empowered, like working for myself. I think that's always been a goal, no matter how modest of a living I make. I think just being able to like make my own schedule and kind of handle business how I want to, like I really love that kind of freedom. But I don't think it's for everyone. I think some people really like the structure of like a traditional job, and there are days I definitely am envious of that. I'm like, how cool would it be to just go to work and come home? Like I love it. And bartending is that, right? So it's wonderful to break up the monotony of just sitting in this room every day
so
doing that, right?
It's funny that
it's like so the grass is always greener.
Yeah, it's funny that you're saying that like the regular job is the break. Like
the regular job is the break. It's like social. It's like, oh, I get to just be like this anonymous person pouring drinks. Like it's truly wonderful. And of course, like, you know, bartending, at least locally, is the reason why I have developed such a wonderful fan base and following here, is because I've been social and been in the community for years and years. And I think that is important, to get out and be seen. And there's so many people that want to care about you. They just don't know you exist. Yeah. That are like on your street, right?
Exactly. Like, well, okay, and so being one of those people who has obviously cared about your music over the years, I would love if you could give me and then our listeners, because I know a lot of what you've been up to, but like I think it would be cool if you could paint a picture of what it's looked like for you going from 2020, 2021, the last time we talked, where, you know, like you had Used was out and you had Sad Little Rant was kind of picking up, like you were looking forward to like a little bit of MTV coverage. What was it like going from there to where you are here?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I think it's easy for me to be like, oh, it's been a tough journey, it's been really hard, and every small win has been really hard, because they have. But when I look back between like the last time we spoke and now, it really has ramped up in such a way that I think even just personally, it feels very legitimate.
Awesome.
Like obviously more music has been released and more milestones. I've been on MTV 3 times. Woo! And I had like a little write-up in Billboard, which isn't like, groundbreaking or life-changing by any means, but, like the small wins and recognition for what I'm doing. And I've had some really great music videos come out that I've worked really hard to like develop myself. Mm-hmm. I've had a really big hand in every single one, collaborating with 1 or 2 people every time that are like the bread and butter. Yeah. And so getting into that side of things was always a dream. I love making videos. I love making content. And then I did like a brand thing with Lee Jeans this last year. So that was really cool. That was like my first time working with like a big brand.
Whoa.
And it was like more like content pieces and like, but it was like cool, like getting the clothes and like getting to wear them and talk about them. Like that was fun. And I'm looking forward to more of that. But really just putting out, music and trying to stay consistent. But I think right now I feel, like it's really time to strike and release very consistently and work towards a project in a few months, which I'm doing. So yeah, it's just been pretty full throttle. Like I think getting over that initial hump was hard, and now getting to the next like level, so quote unquote, would be difficult, but I'm really like striving and putting everything into it. So yeah, it's been a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And during that time, like through those experiences, you can definitely hear how your sound has evolved. Like you kind of were coming from like what I would call like moody pop R&B, right? Like back in the day. Yeah. Would you agree with that? Right? Yes. Okay, cool. So we came from that, and then like, Apple Pie was kind of like your first like blues type song, Yeah, I
know. I remember you might have said, I think you did say something like that to me when it came out, which I loved. Like I remember it was kind of like this different direction, and and it definitely was. It's weird. It's still like this pop R&B thing, but there are more blues elements. Like some of the songs I've coming out there's one called Cowboy, which will be out in the next.
Ooh.
I don't know which the order is. We're trying to decide,
Okay.
but it's kind of like similar to Apple Pie. It's like Apple Pie's like cool like older brother. Yeah, because I say cowboy and people are like, oh, you're making a country song. I'm like, it's not a country song, but it is inspired by.
That's cool.
I guess.
Does it have a little twang in it? Is it guitar forward like Apple Pie?
There is, yes, it is a little bit like twangy, but not too much.
Yeah.
Similar to Apple Pie, where it's like funk, blues, like kind of pop inspired. Just a lot of fun, fun to perform too.
Yeah,
that's true.
You strike me as the type of person who could release like a country EP and garner a little bit of like popularity, right? And then just be like, but that's not really all I do, guys. Like,
yeah, well, it's so funny you say that because like I really love to do every style, and that's always been true since day one.
Yeah.
And I think so. I actually have never released an EP. I've only put singles out, which I think is kind of weird and shocking. And I think this EP, as I'm sitting here like picking what will be on it and kind of trying to make it cohesive, it's not.
Yeah.
It's going to be all these different things, and I think just removing the pressure of like, this is my sound and this is what it sounds like, and every song kind of sounds similar. Like, it's just not going to be feasible for someone like me.
Yeah.
And that's fine. So I'm just trying to embrace that and still figure out a way to make it make sense. But I think, I write all my own music. I've very rarely had writers to collaborate on my stuff with, and that is true for many artists when they're starting, because maybe they don't have a huge budget, and getting like great writers in the room is something that takes a lot of time and attention that you don't have. And so I love writing all my stuff, so because it's coming from me, I feel like they're consistent in that way.
Yeah, I'm glad you grabbed onto that. I was kind of setting you up to say that. So EP confirmed this year.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Confirmed.
Great. That's awesome.
I'm very excited to say yes to that and not be like, yeah, maybe. No, yes.
That's going to be amazing. I'm really glad that like you're not sticking to a style with your first EP, right? Like, who does, right? I mean, when you look back at like some of the great like EPs or even like looking back on like some of the better mixtapes that have come out for young artists who are still like on the up and up, like even like J. Cole's first mixtape, like it's like, what genre was he going for? Who knows?
Okay,
he was,
that's interesting.
right? He was kind of a little all over the place. He had like a Missy Elliott sample, and then one was like a little more like, it was a little more tropical themed. Like it was
totally,
and like now he's one of the greats, and like people could definitely look at him and like look at his body of work and pick out their favorite songs and go, that's his style. But he has so much work now that like I feel like even now, and like this is true, I think, of even artists who have had a relatively consistent style, like it's only because they have so much work and people can pick out their favorites and then pick out what style they associate it with, that they have a quote unquote style. But every artist when they're first starting out is kind of like figuring it out. It's more Jackson Pollock than it is Rembrandt,
Totally.
Yeah.
That's such a beautiful way of putting it too. And I think I will mention I was working with Dallas Austin, who's kind of like a legend, an inspiration, someone so wonderful the last year. And what you're saying reminds me, because he said to me, I was like, I'm really worried about having like cohesive songs. Like, I think that's been a problem the whole time. I've been in rooms before where, gatekeepers or whatever you want to call these people, will say like, well, but like, who are you? Because this song is different and this song is different, this song is different. And there's so much validity in that. Like, that's valid. But he's somebody who was like, no, but you're writing them, so how could it not be you?
Yeah.
And I mean, and frankly, it's not like I'm putting out like, here's a polka song and here's like a jazz quartet, right? Like they're pop songs, like it's pop music. Like at the end of the day,
you're not reaching for that like Weird Al sample,
right? Like it's not like, oh wow, no, this is all really different.
Yeah.
Like, there's no like bluegrass. Like it's just they're pop songs, and at the end of the day, it's not that deep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think sometimes, I don't know if you've had this experience where like you fall in love with an artist because of a song, and then you go to check out the body of work, and it's almost like sometimes the songs are too similar, and then when there's that little break in a project where they've done something else, it's like you fall in love with them even more. And so if I'm all over the place as a person, then I think fans of my music should know that and fall in love with that, because that's the truth.
Well,
right?
yeah, and that's what I was kind of like, as you were talking, the thing that came out to me was like being honest. So like if the body of work is honest, then your personal honesty with like the lyrics and the way that you're presenting yourself, that is the through line, right?
Yeah.
and hopefully
Yeah.
that's what people are grabbing onto, and they're not listening to like they're not listening to Cowboy and going, okay, the rest of this is going to be twangy, right? You know, like
Right.
and you'll get that anyway because different people
course.
expose themselves to art in different ways, and some people
course.
homogenize their own experience, and so
They do.
yeah.
It's interesting. Some people really, you know, most 90% of people, I would say, as consumers of popular culture and music, do love so many different genres, and there's not a lot of consistency. Like, we're not monolithic. Like, all of us are weirdos that live in the 21st century and are from somewhere and move somewhere else, and our parents are this, but we're that, and all of these experiences make us kind of, you know, open-minded. But there are the few that really like adhere to one genre and they don't really deviate from it. So if it's not like what they like, they're like, I just can't tolerate it. But that's really not on me.
Yeah.
I mean, then like the one song you like. I mean, thank you for liking it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you for the
Like,
one. I appreciate
thank you so
that.
much.
Appreciate you.
Yeah,
That's good.
totally.
I think so if there were a second through line, like thinking about the work that you've been working on for yourself specifically, I'd like to talk a little bit more about how it's been writing for other people. But the work that you're writing for yourself, if there were another through line other than you writing honestly, do you think that there's any sort of theme that's been coming up for you as you're being inspired in life? Is that's indicative of like where you're at in your life, you know?
Yeah, so it's hard. Yes, that's a great question. Dallas had actually said to me one time, he was like, do you always just write like breakup songs? And I was like, you know what? Like, yeah, I think that's like what I've put out. But to be fair, like I haven't put out a ton of music like over the course of time, for better or worse. And so, yes, a lot of them are relationship focused. I've been a young woman that, you know, in her 20s that was dating and going through heartbreaks and falling in love. So that those things like all like go hand in hand with just my experience. But there's so many other things I endeavor to talk about. And I think past this project, which I think is probably a lot of breakup songs I've compiled over the years, which
is fine.
I've been through a breakup or not, it's just like good subject material. Frankly, it's very human. It's very universal. It's very vulnerable. I really love talking about love.
Yeah.
But I think looking ahead, there are some subject areas, you know, mental health related and body image related. And actually, Cowboy, come to think of it, is very much like a feminist kind of song. It's
cool.
a very, like, the premise is like, I'm a cowboy. Like, I'm the cowboy, not the cow. I'm the cowboy.
Yeah.
I'm the big bad wolf. Like,
oh, nice.
don't mess with. Yeah. So it's kind of like has that element of like not wanting to be like a little prop, like a little, like, to a man, to like a sidekick or like, you know, somebody's foil. So I think in that way there's just stuff that's been brewing inside of me that I'm like, I'm really ready to attack this, but it most likely won't really be on this project. But it's only a handful of songs. So looking ahead though, yes, I'm excited about it.
That's awesome.
Like, yeah, and writing about other people too.
Yeah,
like through a third party objective kind of
more storytelling
kind of thing. Yes.
Okay,
yes,
cool.
Yes.
That's a whole other, I mean, a lot of people who will listen to this might not be artists. They might not like write or record, but like there's a huge difference between writing a you me song, as I would call it, right? So like a breakup song or a relationship song or something that's about the human condition as insofar as your relationship to another person or an idea, and telling a story that's more of like a they, it, they, them, they, you know, they and something else. Like it's such a different mode of writing.
It's so cool. Like Taylor Swift did that on Evermore, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
She showed like this insane side of her that she was like, I'm going to write these songs about this love triangle between teenagers or whatever. And it's an amazing, amazing body of work. I'm obviously a huge fan of hers, but I think that's wonderful. Yeah. It's a good exercise for the mind as a songwriter. I mean, I have to branch out and I know that, and I want to.
Yeah.
So just writing about other things, other people.
Yeah, you're challenging
problems
yourself.
in the world. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Okay, so then
I'm happy you like it.
well, you know,
good vote in the right direction.
Where Natalie Carr stands over here. Like, that's how it goes. But yeah, so then writing for other people has that been a process of people have been seeking you out for your expertise in the realm that you've been writing in, or are they more so saying, okay, I think she can fit the genre that we're going for, and bringing you into the room to collaborate on that level? Like, what's that been? Has it been a little bit of both? What's that been like?
It's definitely been a good mix of both.
That's good.
I started getting a lot of like messages or requests for like EDM for like DJs to sing hooks and write things and whatever. And I'm pretty self-sufficient too because I record myself, obviously, so I can like record rough mix and so it's like a one-stop shop. So I think that's you know
sick.
very helpful for any artist. I think you know I don't produce necessarily, but I really have fallen in love with like recording and engineering myself and that side of it. Not that I would trust myself to like record somebody's band. Like I probably could figure it out, but that's a whole career that I am not. I don't have the expertise, but. And that way it's been really good because people can just run things by me and I can shoot it back to them or whatever. And then also, like have gotten some artists that have hit me up themselves or now some like managers of artists or writers for some bigger artists. So just, you know, trying to lay the groundwork. It's amazing what you can do on social media, like the people you can meet. Yeah. And then, you know, have a Skype or a Zoom or whatever and FaceTime and you know each other and now you could collaborate on things. So it's been kind of all over the place, but every time I get, you know, one of those messages from anybody, it very much validates me because a big reason why I wanted to like do this career path was to write for people. Like it's very compelling to me. So it always feels really good to be recognized by people that do this for a living or are connected to people that do this for a living and want to like pass me to them. Like it always feels like I'm doing something right. Yeah. But writing is a hustle. I think sometimes it's so funny. I don't know if you've ever heard people say this or musicians, but they'll be like, well, you know, I make my own music, but like I'm just gonna start like writing for other people. And I used to think that too. And I was like, yeah, like naturally I'll just like write for other people. I think I was naive to how much of a hustle it is. It's almost like harder than being an artist.
Oh, really?
In a way, yeah, because as an artist, like, you know, you put out your content, you put out your face in the world, you put out your videos, your songs, they're yours. So when people happen across them, there's no mistake that you were a part of them or not. And writing for other people is a harder process. It's very like faceless, very anonymous. So to build up that kind of credibility can take a lot of time. And as somebody that was not born into the industry or doesn't have a lot of like bigger connections, I guess you could say, like it has been difficult, but that's why it's such a hustle of like, hey, can I send you this? Hey, can I send you this? Hey, you know, it's a pretty aggressive pursuit. But it's my goal. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
I really, really want it to work out. Like, you know, and I think it will. I think it will because you work hard enough at something, you get some good recognition from people that makes you feel like you're not completely delusional, then you just continue to progress forward.
Yes. And there are like the 1 in a million case where like you write like the one thing that comes out and goes really well and then like you know, all of a sudden 100 people.
75.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how old I'll be. And that's the cool thing about writing too. It's like you don't really age out of writing or producing or engineering or doing live sound or being a stylist. Like you don't really, it's kind of the artist thing that can be taxing, you know, as you get older. I am not there yet. I do not feel that way yet, but I can understand why there's more longevity in kind of having a technical trade within the industry. Yeah. Yeah, if that makes sense. I mean, just from a business perspective.
No, it makes perfect sense. I'm lucky enough. My boss, where I currently work, has 2 years in a row brought Rivers Rutherford, who's like a super famous country singer, like songwriter. Not you wouldn't know him as a singer, but you would know a bunch of songs that he's written, and he comes and tells all of these stories about how he ended up writing songs for other people and what a hustle it's been. And like it's completely reminiscent of what you're talking about now. You know, he's looking back on it, you're looking at it.
Ahead at it, yeah.
So that's interesting.
That's really cool.
I just like the notion that it's maybe possibly harder to be Lil Wayne's ghostwriter than Lil Wayne. Like,
I think there is an element of it where it's like it's very I think people underestimate just how political it is. Like I think, you know, it's I think every industry has this. I'm sure in your industry, in tech, like there are the consultants that like everyone knows who they are, like, and you know they're so wanted, and then there's all the rookies that are just clawing their way to like be relevant, frankly, and get work and get indoors. I think I've never doubted my ability to write good songs. It has been a process. I wasn't writing good songs. I was writing horrible music, terrible songs. and then better and better and better. And I'm still learning, and I'm sure I'll be better and better because once you keep doing something, you get better at it. Who would have thought? And I mean, but I've always thought if I could just get in some rooms or have some opportunities, maybe I don't land them. Maybe I'm not the best person, or maybe my stuff isn't picked. But if I'm getting any indication that it's not horrible, then there's hope here to be had.
Okay. So in that same vein, talking about like, you know, the hustle, what it takes to like do certain things. I mean, you and I had mentioned before we had recorded, and you don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but I did want to bring up, like, we had talked about how there are other avenues for you to explore what it's like for you to write your own music and share it, and like the way that you share it and the way that you fund it. And we talked about you possibly looking into like Patreon, because that's an avenue for you to be connected with the people who are ready to invest in your music all the time anyway already, and give them something a little bit more. Have you thought more about that since we talked about it? You don't have to have like I said, like you and I just touched on this subject the other day, I think. And like,
no, we really did, just like on our like short phone call. And you know, it's one of those things I like. So I was diagnosed with ADHD this last year.
Whoa!
Which was so awesome.
Big diagnosis.
Like it's totally big diagnosis where, you know, they were like, how is this missed? And all these factors, whatever. Yeah. And so it's kind of funny. I was talking to my therapist the other day, and I was like, it's like with ADHD, you can like intend to do something for so long, for like months, and be like, I'm going to do this thing, and then never do it. And there's just like this weird thing in your brain where it's like, I can't do it. I don't know why I'm thinking about doing it. I just can't do it. Yeah. And so that is one of those things I have like been on my mind, and underneath like that resistance, there's always something. And it's like, maybe there's a fear of failure. There's a fear of not wanting to take money from people. There's a fear of not wanting to take up space, or not wanting to ask for favors. But like the way I would say to any of my friends, like as a big cheerleader for anyone I love who is a content creator, musician, an author, I don't care, podcaster, like, you should do it because people love you, people want to help you. And it's like, why don't I say that to myself? Because there's so many wonderful people that would contribute $2 or $5 a month just to like see some behind the scenes stuff. Like, I would do it for like literally off the top of my head, like 50 small artists I can think I would love to see what they're doing. So I think that's something I just need to implement quickly. And not worry about what it looks like. It doesn't matter, because it's really just for the loyal people, and that actually would really help me connect with those people more. Just like having their names. And
I mean, I told you in the same phone call, like I have one Patreon that I'm subscribed to right now, and like I'll go through phases of subscribing to different content creators that I enjoy. Like I'll be like, oh cool, like they did a cool thing this month, and I'd like to like see what the benefits are and just kind of like enjoy a little extra. So like here and there, I'll toss like $10 to Ristic Studies, which is in like the more like art space. And then, but I consistently, and I have never unsubscribed for like, I think it's like, we're going on like 3 years now. My friend Micah Khan, who's a film producer and director and writer, I've never unsubscribed from his Patreon. So like I forever, like, you know how like there's all those like get rid of your subscription apps and stuff that you can get. Yeah. I was like, I went through and I did that for myself recently, and it was the only thing that I didn't get rid of when I reset to 0. I was like, all right, $5 forever for that dude. Like,
that's so wholesome.
Right?
I hope does he know that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. No,
knows.
I
that's so
every
cool,
once
dude.
in a while it like pops up, like I get the notification that I've been charged on my phone, and I'll just text him. I'll be like, forever. Like it just
that's so cool. I love it.
Yeah, I want him to succeed. And it, you know, we were on the phone call, and like I forget if you brought it up or if I brought it up, but I was immediately like, oh my God, yeah, $5 for you, like forever. Like that's
so kind. And like I know that for you or for most people, they're like, I have $5. Like I have $5, but then it's like it goes so far. It's just like the notion of it beyond even just the material cost of it is like, oh, I'm supported. These people care what I'm doing.
It's huge.
It's so huge. Like people really should never underestimate the comments that they send their favorite artists or creators or
100%
athletes or God knows what, because like it really does just perk you up, and it's always like at your lowest moment in the day, and then you get like a beautiful message from someone somewhere else in the world, and you're like, oh my God, someone cares. That's crazy.
Yes.
And then that's what anyone would do this for, because you'd be crazy to do it for really any other reason than connecting with people and making people feel something good.
And that's
you'd be crazy.
Yeah, that's why you do it. I mean, and then another thing kind of in the middle of what you were talking about a little bit ago, isn't that a funny paradox that you would be so afraid of like taking up space or asking for help or doing the things that you would advise other friends. Like you said it yourself. You're like, I would tell anybody I love or care about to do the thing that I'm preventing myself from doing for either fear of failure or fear of taking up space. And really it comes down to like, it's so easy to tell people to not be afraid. It's so hard to not be afraid.
It's so hard to not be afraid. There's so much like inner work that we all have to do.
Yeah.
Like I definitely struggle with self-esteem and self-love and whatever. It's like a forever battle, but
yeah,
it really does help to just take the plunge. And there's something to be said about just like rewiring your thoughts to be like more positive towards yourself. I think it goes a really long way.
Yeah. I think, you know, as you were talking, I'm like, oh, an artist that struggles with self-love. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That actually checks out a little bit.
Well, it's funny because everyone's always like saying like, oh, people that like put out music and like content creators are like narcissists. Like there's narcissists are like all over the internet. And I'm like, I think more often than not, anyone that does music and that has to content create to promote their music resents it on some level. Or they start to really enjoy it because they found the thing that feels authentic and is sustainable. So it's just kind of ironic. It's like, no, this definitely comes from a place of like, this isn't like vanity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I always say if I didn't do this, I wouldn't have an Instagram and I wouldn't have a TikTok, which is probably true. But I'd also be lying if I said that I don't enjoy making certain pieces of content.
Yeah.
I have a lot of fun with it. Like it's fun. Sometimes it's a chore. But sometimes it's fun.
Well, I mean, and that's why you do it. And like to give like a little bit of to draw like the similarity, like, you know, like a kid builds something out of Legos. What do? They go show somebody, right? They're like, look at the thing I did. A guy catches an 8-pound bass or something. He's like, look at the bass I caught. Tinder. Yeah, like look at the bass I caught. Wait, on his Tinder. I'm useful. No, but like, you know, but it's the same impetus. Like it comes from the same place because, you know, as humans, we have these 4 basic emotions. We have love, hope, hate, fear, right? And like, there's a combination of love and fear in every artist and in every person when it comes to sharing, right? That's what anxiety is.
Yeah.
Like on very anxiety is a whole scale, but like, yeah, whenever you share something, you're a little excited, which is like a form of anxiety. There's like a little sprinkle of anxiety in that, you know,
fear
like
of being perceived.
Yeah,
it's like so vulnerable.
But you want to do it.
But you want to do it because I think you know that your message will reach people ultimately that do want to hear it and do care, and you're gonna surpass a lot of people that don't. And there's nothing wrong with people that are not interested in what I'm doing. There is a problem with people that make that their personality.
Yeah.
Like, not that I have a lot of, you know, intense attention or scrutiny, but I think for any artist in the industry at all, no matter how small or how big, like if you have people that are really invested in watching you fail or look stupid, like they really need a hobby. You know,
yeah.
Like, I don't know very many people that spend a lot of their time like hating other people.
I mean, yeah. There's the interlude on the Amine album where I forget who it is. I think it's Kevin Knight, right? And he's saying like he's like having hate in your heart is like a broke hobby. Like that's it. It makes you no money. It makes you
oh my God, wait, I love that. I don't even think I've heard that, but maybe I have.
It's on the
like, God, that's so good. Isolated.
It's on the Limbo album. It's such a good the album has it's like perforated with these little interludes from Kevin Knight, right? Talking about like eating a grapefruit and how that sometimes is better than like all the money that you could have made, you know? And like, just like, it's so good. Big recommendation on Amine's Limbo. Like, I love that album front to back. It's so good.
Dive on that. That's really neat.
Big recommendation.
That's cool.
Is there a moment, or was there like a moment or message that you can recall from like the past year that really helped like reinvigorate, reinforce what you're doing, where you're going? Like, is it something you could share with us?
Yeah, it was a really tough year for a variety of reasons. It was just a really challenging year, dealing with a lot of personal, interpersonal things in my life, family health, just a lot of like blow after blow of things. And then simultaneously, some of the most beautiful and magical things that have ever happened to me. So like connection and friendship and love and all these great things. So I felt very, very, very vulnerable. And I think that's why I didn't put, frankly, like a lot of music out. Because I was afraid to like really, if I were releasing songs about what I was truly feeling and a lot of the, you know, sadness and fear of the future, I didn't feel safe enough to release it, and I kept holding myself back on that. And then to a point where I'm happy it happened, because now I'm like, no, like, fuck that. Like, I'm putting out anything I want to put out because it's for me and my heart and my people and my fans, and it's not for anyone ever else. Like, nothing could matter more than me being an artist and releasing things and being creative and putting things out into the world. So there's just fire under me right now to just kind of like get all of these songs out, and I just feel really invigorated with that.
Hell yeah.
I was holding myself back. I think circumstance and me both were at play, but it's funny. It was a lesson in like the people in your head that you make so big and scary have no control over you. They can't hurt you. Like, you are your own destiny, and no one can stop you.
Yeah.
So. It's kind of cliche, but
no, you're 100%. I mean, that's BC knowledge, right? Like, that's I think it was Seneca. Seneca said we suffer more in our imagination than we do in reality, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's precisely the most concise way anyone could have said that.
All right, good. Glad I had that one up there somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, yeah. I'm really. It's funny hearing you say that too, because like, sometimes like you're in that vulnerable state, and people might view that as like, oh, this is the stuff that I'm feeling the most raw, that's going to resonate the most with people, but it's just not the right time. And it sounds like you just needed to get through that storm that you were going through in order to be able to look back and write about it.
Yeah. I couldn't sacrifice my own safety, mental health, like emotionally, physically, like anything like that, because I think sometimes people don't understand, like, when artists release music, a lot of times they're just songs that are well written that they're not really connected to. Like, a lot of, like, Drive is a breakup song. I wrote about nothing and no one. Yeah. And it's a wonderful song. And if you heard that song, it doesn't mean that it's not a personal song to me. It doesn't mean I've never experienced those emotions in my life or hadn't prior to writing it. But at the time of its conception, it wasn't about anyone. And I think sometimes people are always looking for, like, who's it about? Like, with any, like Selena Gomez, like, is this about Justin Bieber? And it's like, probably not. First of all, she probably didn't write it herself. More than likely, or she, right? Yeah. So it's like, probably not. And it's just kind of frustrating to always have to worry about, you know, the context of the music you're putting out. It was the first time I ever struggled with that. Because people don't realize these songs do have real implications on our lives and our families.
They do.
Like, if you write a diss track about your mom and it comes out, you know,
your mom's gonna hear it.
She's probably gonna hear it, and it's gonna cause real things for your life. So
you talking about Eminem right now? Is that where you're going? No.
Oh my God, yeah. Like, no, seriously though, like, you can start literal like wars like in your life on the internet. Big time. It's crazy, and it's like, you know, usually it's not coming from a place of ever about anyone, right?
Yeah.
But whatever. Well, so there's all these meanings that get assigned to things, and it's really stupid. And the important thing is just look past it, release the music, and fuck the rest.
Yeah, like, get the art out there. Like, the thing is, like, you can put all of the intent in the world into directing the narrative of a song, or like the impression of a picture in whatever direction you want while you're making it. But someone's still gonna walk up and see whatever they want to see in the moment.
They're gonna see whatever they want to see, and they're so obsessed, like, that's what's gonna happen. Or they're so, you know, fixated on you for whatever. It's so weird, but like, that's the truth. Yeah. You can't control it. So like, I could put a song out about daffodils, and if someone wants it to be about
a breakup,
then it is, right? Like, then it is. So
someone's like, is this another breakup song? You're like, no, I really like daffodils.
No, I just like the flowers.
I just wanted more of them in my life. I don't know.
That's all it is. And people really love to just whatever. So it's just controlling your own narrative for yourself, validating yourself, and making sure you're safe. Yeah. And putting out the music, because whatever else doesn't matter.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so little bit of a final wrap up question here.
Yeah, let's.
So in this experience, like, looking forward to the EP, you sound more confident than ever. First off, you sound great. You sound like you've done a lot of work to put yourself in a good space, especially hearing you talk about how last year was a very tough year. I don't even think we need to get into the details of it. I think everybody's had somewhere between 2020 and now, everybody has had what they would call a tough year. I think almost, right? I don't know if there's anybody I've talked to that hasn't described at least one of these past 3 years as a not tough year, or like a simple year.
That's actually such a good point.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
But hearing you talk about it, and hearing you talk about how you gotten through it, and like and hearing where you are now, is there something in particular over the course of 2024 outside of releasing music that you're really looking forward to for yourself on a personal level?
Yeah, I think I've neglected like doing quote unquote like the right things for my health and my mental health for so long, and I think it came from a place of this is really intense what I'm about to say, but sometimes we don't allow ourselves to do things that we know are good for us because we're afraid that if we feel better, we don't know what that feels like, and that's terrifying.
Whoa.
And I realized in the last like 6 months, I was like, okay, I know that meditating will help my anxiety, right? Like I know that cutting out this food that makes me feel like this will make my life better. I know that waking up early, like I know that these things are doable things that I have discipline and motivation and can do, and I don't do them. And I think there's a fear of like, if I feel better for the first time in my life, like I feel grounded, I feel safe, like I'm an adult, I'm like manning my own ship, I'm in my own life, like what will that be like? That's so terrifying. And I realized that because I was like, I couldn't figure out why. I was like, why don't I just do the right things? And it's because of that. And so now personally, I feel very motivated and very excited to just kind of play with that and just do some the right things and see what happens.
Oh, that's awesome.
And like see if, yeah, maybe it's terrifying because I feel better. Like that's a real thing. I don't know if anyone else, I'm sure people feel like that. Like
I totally get what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah.
The way I would describe it is, as I went through it, is you get so comfortable with the things in life that make you discomforted or create discomfort for you that it's almost easier to allow them to continue to exist than to get rid of them and then have to take ownership of whatever the space is that you then need to move into.
Exactly. Like who would I be? Like, I don't want to be the person that meditates for an hour and eats kale and like wakes up at 7 a.m. to run a marathon. But it's like, those are such, and that's like, that's so extreme though. Like that's not, Natalie's still gonna be Natalie no matter how, whatever she does, you know? And so it's just something I'm playing with, is just really trying to ground myself and take the time to do the work. It's one thing to go to therapy and not get a lot out of it, guilty, like for years and years. And I want to do the work. I want to be better. Like, I feel like I'm growing up. I like want to be a better person. I want to like treat myself better. Yeah. And I want to see the world better. I don't want to like be sad.
That,
you know what I mean?
Yes, that is intense. And thank you for sharing that. That was awesome. What is one of the things that you're going to do to be better, if you don't mind my asking?
I think I'm going to try to do a lot of like gratitude.
Awesome.
Journaling, which I should probably start because it's a weekend.
Good time to start.
I haven't bought the journal. But yeah, like, you know, write things I'm grateful for. I think that really helps. And just at least if I'm not going to like make grandiose changes, at least acknowledging when I'm not doing the thing I'm supposed to do, and just feeling whatever comes up and going from there.
All right.
Yeah, and trying new things, doing things I think I would hate, and seeing how I feel.
Ooh, you know? Okay.
Like ice baths. Like I'm not gonna go do ice baths. I think it's dumb. I don't want to do it. And it's like, but I'm gonna say yes to things.
Are you picking on me for shoveling outside in the cold with it?
No, well, yeah. You see, you have like free therapy. Yeah, you get to go do free ice
cryotherapy for myself outside today.
So crazy. I know. You're like shoveling snow.
All right.
I'm complaining you. It's 50 degrees here.
I'm going to put this on the record. I'm going to say this real quick, and then we're going to talk about our jams. I am going to text you later, and I'm going to ask you what you're grateful for. I'm going to help you out on that. Much. How's that sound?
You're such a... You can... Yeah, we can do that for each other all the
Hell
time.
yeah.
That'd be cool.
I love that.
You let me know what you need me to text you, and I got you. Because that could be really cool.
You know what I could use? You know what I suck at? Actually, yeah, I'll share this with you. I suck at daily affirmations. Like I'll tell you more separately some other time, but like I had a really hard week this week, and I, for the first time ever, I swear to God, I swear on everything ever, first time ever, I actually wrote an affirmation down. Whoa. It was like, and I knew it's a big sign of like emotional maturity and growth that I've gone through over the past 3 years, right? We're talking about this time frame. But like to actually, after the fact, when I was thinking about it, to actually go, oh, you wrote down an affirmation. Good job. You wouldn't have done that before. You would have sat with you would have not sat with, but I would have tried to process whatever negative feelings and negative thoughts I had differently, right? And
Yes.
maybe failed and maybe hurt myself in the process, like mentally, emotionally, not like physically, not in like a crazy, like, oh, I hurt myself real bad, but like hurt myself a little bit,
Yeah.
in trying to do that.
Yeah.
And instead I actually wrote down an affirmation. That's what I suck at, but I got like a little bit better. So I'll text you and ask you what you're grateful for.
Did it give you like a little boost?
Oh my
I
God,
think maybe it's one of those things. It did.
It was-
Okay, I was gonna say it might take a long time. I've never done it, and that would be a lot of resistance for me around that, and that's maybe something I should do myself.
I did it at work, and it was the only thing that allowed me to focus at work that day. Like,
that's insane.
Yeah, it was so
That's
helpful.
wonderful.
Yeah, and maybe, and here's the other thing. Like, we keep going with the conversation. The other thing is like, is it always going to be helpful? I don't know, right?
Yeah.
But like, it was good that I did it then, and I found out that it could be. Yeah.
That's
a huge thing.
Okay. That's a I'm going to try that out. That's a good idea.
Sometimes just trying is all you need, right? Like just doing the thing and just getting it out of the way and being like, okay, well, did that help? Yes, no. If it didn't help, maybe it will next time. You don't know unless you try next time, right? Like, so
That's
yeah.
sick. Yeah. I love that.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Good to
All
know.
right.
Yeah.
All right, so last little question before we get into where people can find you. What is a jam of yours recently? This can be a TV show, book, song, whatever. Like, you remember from Upstate Coffee Collective Podcast.
Yeah.
It was always music on Upstate Coffee Collective Podcast. Here, it's any bit of, like, media or, like, content that you're really into at the moment.
Okay, I think I have a good one for you, and it's kind of consistent with what we're talking about. So there is this app called Imprint.
Okay.
And not sponsored, would love to be. It's so sick. It's such a cool app. So I got it like January 1st. It was like an ad.
Okay.
And it was basically, so when I went to college, I took a few courses in philosophy, and I was just really dumb and stupid and young and was like, I don't really care about this, like whatever, like I just wasn't interested at the time.
You weren't into Socrates at the moment?
No, I wasn't into Socrates. Like, I was always like, this is better than learning about, like, for someone like me, I'd rather learn about this than like physics.
Yeah.
It's still somewhat compelling. But I remember like having a few moments in those classes or reading that material and being like, no, this is really soothing to me and really profound, and I think this is something that I like to learn about. And so anyways, this app is like an ad for it, and they're basically telling you that they're gonna like walk you through all the schools of philosophy from like Socrates
cool.
to like now, it's like modern philosophy, like to this day.
Nice.
And it's really well done. I forget the name of the guy who does it, and I shouldn't, but he's like a big philosophy professor. He's written a lot of books, and it's just like really wonderfully structured and digestible throughout the day. And I think I'm on utilitarianism now, which is cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so you kind of like go through all of them and just like learn about, why they happen contextually. I'm getting nerdy, but
no, it's great.
It's very cool. And it's just been nice to, as somebody who's not in school, who doesn't plan on going back to school, to like have something in my day that is learning, that isn't just like reading. Because I love to read, but I don't always do it, guilty. But this has just been nice to kind of like learn something new and like exercise those muscles. And it's very peaceful in a way. Like, it makes me feel very validated in all of our like weird human thoughts that keep us up at night, just like realizing that a lot of people feel those things too. So check it out.
I love that. No, seriously, that was
cool
actually that was the ad for Imprint right there. We're gonna we're gonna clip that and send it to them and get
I'm definitely gonna show this to them. I'd be like,
you
look,
should.
I have nothing to do with your platform, but
I'm singing your praises for
really
free.
like, like I write breakup songs and I want to talk about Socrates.
Send them that, and then send them your songs, and then send them your Patreon link, and just say,
I'll
I'm
send them
not
my
asking for
Patreon.
sponsorship. I'm just asking you for you to subscribe to my Patreon.
Yeah, will you just subscribe? Will you love me back? Dude, it's such a cool... I really enjoyed it.
Good.
And,
Good.
I even did it. I was like, I'm going to, like, do the free trial, but there's so many chapters and all these, like, slides. I was like, I'm not going to get through
That's
it. And I
awesome.
was like, I'm going to get this for myself. And
That's so good.
interesting.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I like I told you before we recorded, I'm going to do my jams with Odie when we record the bumpers, just so that I'm not throwing in like extra stuff and like bombarding people with my information. Where can people find Natalie Carr in 2024?
Yeah, so my handles on all of my platforms, I think, are Natalie Carr Music with 2 R's, so Carr. That's like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify is just Natalie Carr, obviously. So please find me. If you hear this, I'd love to hear your thoughts or anything. Tell me anything. Write me a haiku. I don't know.
Just reach out to the artists you like and tell them that you like their stuff.
Yeah, tell them that you like us, or tell them you like us. Yeah. That was a good sentence. But this podcast is awesome.
Thank you.
You're so wonderful at this.
Oh, thank you.
It's just been truly such a blessing. I'm really, really happy.
I've got one little last bit for you. I was talking to a friend right before we started recording and this is a friend who I had told like what I was up to this weekend, and and I had included this in part of my plans. And I think sometimes when I tell my friends, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm interviewing someone for the podcast, and I start talking about it because it's a podcast and because of the way like people view podcasts, right? I feel like they're like, there goes Kev doing his thing, like, like just being his weird creative self. Okay, yeah, all right, Kev. But I sent her a link to your music, and then what was really nice, and I don't think she realized like what a nice compliment this was, but she said that your music reminded her of an artist that she really likes, which is Sabrina Carpenter. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yes.
I really like. Oh,
Isn't that great?
That's dope, dude. When people tell me that I remind them of like anyone.
Yeah.
Literally anyone, because I like pretty much everybody. It makes me. That's the coolest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, oh, I'm definitely sharing that with Natalie. Like,
that made my
perfect.
Day. Yay!
Thank you.
I love Sabrina Carpenter. She's iconic.
Me too. She's amazing. The video for Feather
is amazing.
Did you see the video for Feather?
Yeah, her response to it was that Jesus was a carpenter.
I loved
or like
it.
whatever her fan is called.
Yes.
And I was like, what an icon.
I loved it. So good. So thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you. I'll be talking to you soon. I'll be asking you what you're grateful for. We'll be going back and forth.
Text me. We'll do
Let's
this.
do it.
Let's do that.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Beautiful.
I love that.
Natalie Carr.
Okay. Bye.
All right. That was a super fun interview with Natalie Carr. Like she said, you can find her at Natalie Carr Music just about everywhere. She's on Instagram. She's all over the place. And I mean, really, just go look up MTV or Billboard, right? I mean, she's crushing it. Odie.
Oh, Kevin, real quick.
Is your
Let's just say this. If you're listening to this in audio format, much appreciated. But our wonderful artists that we have on retainer now, if you head over to YouTube, I'm sure this thumbnail will go up on other social medias, but we had them do a wonderful little caricature of Natalie in our style of the UnPop logo, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So if I'll put that up on my Instagram, I'm sure Kevin will put it up. But if you want to see what it looks like briefly, you can head over to my YouTube channel. Just a little plug, no big deal.
I got a little something for that.
Yeah.
For anybody who wants to listen to this on YouTube, please go do it. First off, if you pay for YouTube Premium, videos play when you close your phone, right?
Yes.
But secondly, if you don't pay for YouTube Premium, you can bring the video into its pop-out mode and open up a different app on your phone. And then if you swipe down the options bar that has the play pause option for it, and it automatically pauses itself. But if you press play and then turn your phone off, it continues playing.
Mm-hmm.
I figured out that hack and was like, oh my God, I don't have to pay for YouTube Premium to keep playing these videos. Amazing.
But also if you just wanted to head over to the YouTube video, just maybe like leave a little like, maybe leave a little comment, help it hit the algorithm. That'd be really cool. Or if you're listening to this on YouTube, that's cool too. Hey, thanks.
What is that YouTube?
It's just Odie Matthews.
Thank you. All right.
My
Beautiful.
man.
Odie, what is your jam for this episode?
Okay, so 2 really, really short jams. Finally finished The Outsider. Took us a little bit because we really wanted to, we watched like 1 episode a night. That was the 10-episode miniseries Stephen King adaptation. And let me just say, really, really well done. I don't want to say much because I don't want to spoil it, but if you like a good people unraveling a mystery, nobody is safe, Stephen King kind of style, and I said this in the last time I mentioned this on the pod. The cinematography and the directing on this show is just incredible. The sound design is really good. And it's just it's a good show. If you want it's 10 1-hour episodes. I really enjoyed it. Pretty solid.
That's awesome.
Second jam.
Double jam.
So this is just for shits and giggles, but we are currently watching the Trolls movies, the ones with Anna Kendrick and Justin Timberlake, the animated ones.
Whoa.
So
Okay.
we watched
Yeah.
Trolls 1 and Trolls 2 because at the time of recording, we're going to see Trolls 3 tomorrow. So
Nice.
if you want a really dumb movie that is a fever dream, whether you're sober or not, Trolls movies. Insane.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
We love that.
Yeah.
I only have one jam this week. I'm almost done with my rewatch of Samurai Champloo.
Ooh.
I will say probably favorite anime ever.
Really?
Right?
That's a
Is
bold
that my
statement.
favorite? Yeah. Okay, so Samurai Champloo definitely number one. I know somewhere in my top 10 there's like 3 different Shinichiro Watanabe animes, right? He's my favorite writer-director of anime of all time, right? Shinichiro, just to qualify, because I'll do this anytime I bring up Watanabe, but like Samurai Champloo, Cowboy Bebop, Carolyn Tuesday, Space Dandy, a.k.a. Rick and Morty anime before Rick and Morty was ever even a concept, right? Like, just so many good, amazing shows that Kids on the Slope, right? Like the range that this man had. He's my Miyazaki. You know how like some people like they love Miyazaki, like Miyazaki's their jam, right? He's my Miyazaki. Like I love Watanabe. Anytime I hear he's doing something, I get excited about it. It's always been a banger. It's always had meaning behind it. I actually just finished up watching. Toward the end of the series, because it's a short series. It's only like 26 episodes. But like toward the end, there's an episode that's just about baseball. Like it's about like
that happens sometimes. There's a Jujutsu Kaisen episode like that.
Yeah, but then it's not even about baseball. Like it's really I can't recommend Samurai Champloo enough because it gets really deep at certain points, but it's also like it's so fun and like it gets, especially toward the end, it just gets like some of the reasoning for different things just gets really silly, and you can tell like he was just having fun making that show. So yeah, that through and through, that's the jam. And I believe, unless you have anything else to plug, Sir Ma'am, Odie Matthews. I
just love watching that brain. Your
like,
brain just fried in real time. That was great.
Yeah, here's the thing. I'm getting better at the non-binary thing. Like I'm getting better and better, right? And it's very hard as a cisgendered white male who's very comfortable in his own skin, but is surrounded by other cisgendered people the majority of the time, right? So so I don't get a lot of time to practice. So like in my life, I'm like, a lot of things are just they are just binary. Like that's just how it is. Like
so sir, honestly, unless it's like directed at the fact that it's gendered, but like even my new boss, who I've told you is phenomenal and like really good about it, like he uses sir for everybody. Like women, men, doesn't matter. And like I'm kind of at the point where like sir is better than Mr., you know?
Let's do this. Let's establish this rule. I'm just going to say what I'm going to say, and if I'm wrong or need to be corrected, you correct me, and then we will just graciously accept the correction and move forward from here on out. So, sir, unless there's anything else
actually, it's ma'am. No, I'm just kidding.
So, ma'am, unless there's anything else you need to plug on this episode, that's it. We wrapping it up.
No. That's all I got.
Wow, climactic there. Very climactic.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll plug. I heard that the Book of Clarence is amazing.
It's on my list.
And actually, a little tail end jam for everybody. The soundtrack for the Book of Clarence, the movie, is a banger through and through.
Oh.
Absolutely amazing. Highly recommend. I jammed it all day yesterday, and I'm definitely gonna go see that movie.
I might end up going to see that tonight.
I highly recommend it. I have a sneaking suspicion it's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's wrap it up. All right. This is Kevin from the UnPop podcast coming at you, letting you know that if you stayed this long, you are in for a treat. We have the lovely song 7 to 2 by Natalie Carr coming at you right now.
Mental state like Florida weather. You can't keep your shit together. Put you on just like a sweater. We both know I worry better. Well, damn, I just stay friends with such a big man. I mean, like, really big, I'm just a fan. I'm just a fool. I gave a God chance, stacking 7 to 2. Yeah, I thought I needed to, but I don't think we need to talk. Time is gone by, not counting time you took up. It's done. Got your back pocket, bitches. Got your off-rail ambitions. Is that why we didn't work out? Is that why you call me now? Hit the fan already. I'm a lonely boy like no one gets me. Mental state like Florida weather. You can't keep your shit together. Put you on just like a sweater. We both know I worry better. Well, damn, I just stay friends with such a big man. I mean, like, really big, I'm just a fan. I'm just a fool. I gave a God chance, like 7 to 2. If you shoot below the belt, then I gotta go harder. Send this to your mama from her favorite daughter. Send this to your friends, they're the fucking worst. They won't call you out, so I'll make sure this burns. Cause this is how you wanted it, right? Involving anyone and everyone. Might wanna work on that self-awareness. Or get a job, I should be embarrassed, but I'm not. Boy, that math so tight, it hurt. It took a lot of strength to take you at your word. Won't turn your shit around. I'll be in a San Lorenzo when your ship goes down. Yeah, so I'm telling you now. Deep cleaning and I'm sorting it out. Deeper meanings and I'm meaning them now. No good in beating around. Yeah, no one gets me. Mental state like Florida weather. You can't keep your shit together. Put you on just like a sweater. We both know I worry better. Well, damn, I just stay friends with such a big man. I mean, like, really big, I'm just a fan. I'm just a fool. I gave a God chance, second 7 to 2. I think I dodged a bullet. Ooh, what the fuck? Ooh.
All right. That was a beautiful. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me just pause real quick. Dead silence.